Attributes of a virtuous friend. The specific attributes of a virtuous friend, distinguishing such a person as a righteous person, sapariso, or a wise person, pandita, are as follows. There are 7 distinguishing qualities, sapariso dhamma, of a virtuous person. 1. Dhamma nuta. One knows essential principles and causes. One knows the laws of nature. One knows essential things, guidelines, and responsibilities, which are the cause for successful and effective action in accord with one's goals. For example, a monk is familiar with those teachings that he must study and practice, and a ruler knows the righteous principles of leadership and governance. 2. Atta nuta. One knows objectives and effects. One knows the meaning and purpose of specific teachings, codes of practice and duties. One knows the desired fruit of specific actions. For example, a monk knows the meaning and purpose of those things he studies and practices, and he recognizes the good, which is the goal and essential meaning of life. 3. Atta nuta. One knows oneself. One knows one's own attributes, disposition, station, strength, knowledge, skills, abilities, and virtues as they really are. This knowledge is conducive to appropriate and effective behavior. For example, a monk knows his own level of faith, moral conduct, learning, generosity, wisdom, and insight. For mata nuta, one knows moderation. One knows what is adequate and sufficient. For example, one knows moderation in regard to eating and to spending one's wealth. A monk knows moderation in regard to receiving the 4 requisites. 5. Kala nuta. One knows time. One knows which times are suitable to perform specific activities. For instance, one knows when to study, when to work, and when to rest. 6. Parisanuta. One knows society. One knows the locality, the meeting places, the community. One knows the manners, moral codes, customs, and other suitable practices in regard to specific communities. 7. Pugala Nuta. One knows persons. One knows the differences between people in regard to their dispositions, abilities, and virtues. This knowledge helps determine how one relates appropriately to each individual. For example, one knows whether one should associate with someone or not. One knows how to deal with, employ, praise, criticize, and teach others in an effective way. A pandita is a wise person, someone who conducts his or her life with wisdom. There are many ways in which the Buddha described such a person's attributes. For example, monks. By his deed a fool is marked, by his deed a wise man is marked. Both are revealed clearly by way of their actions. By 3 things the fool can be known, by bad conduct of body, speech, and mind. By 3 things the wise person can be known, by good conduct of body, speech, and mind. Monks. There are these 3 characteristics of a fool, signs of a fool, ways of behaving of a fool. What 3? Here, a fool is one who thinks bad thoughts, speaks bad words, and does bad deeds. Monks. By 3 things a wise person can be known. He poses an issue with due consideration. He resolves an issue with due consideration, and whenever another person solves an issue with due consideration, with gentle, well-spoken words, reasonable and to the point, he expresses delight. Monks, there are two kinds of fools: he who shoulders a burden that does not befall him, and he who shirks a burden that befalls him. Monks, there are two kinds of wise persons: he who shoulders a burden that befalls him, and he who takes not up one that does not befall him. A foolish monk desires undue praise, distinction from other monks, authority in the monasteries, and honour among families. Let both laymen and monks think that only by myself was this deed accomplished. In every work, great or small, let them be subject to me. Such is the ambition of the fool. His envy and pride only accumulate. The good are unattached to all conditions. The righteous do not speak with a desire for sense pleasures, whether affected by pleasure or pain. The wise show neither elation nor dejection. Neither for the sake of himself nor for the sake of another does a sage do any wrong. He desires not son, wealth, kingdom, or personal success by unjust means. He is virtuous, wise, and upright. Whether he is shown honour or not, his concentration is unshakable. He abides vigilant and alert. Such a person meditates consistently and makes constant effort. He possesses insight with subtle understanding, delighting in the destruction of clinging. They call him a superior man. Irrigators channel water, fletchers straighten arrows, wood workers craft wood. The wise train themselves. Swans, cranes, and peacocks, elephants, and spotted deer all are frightened of the lion, regardless of their own body's size. In the same way, among human beings, a young person endowed with wisdom is considered great, not the fool with a well-built body. A man of little learning grows old like an ox. His muscles develop, but his wisdom does not. One is not named an elder merely because one's hair is grey. Ripe is he in age, yet old in vain is he called. One possessed of truth, rectitude, harmlessness, self-mastery, and restraint is indeed a sage. Purged of impurities, he is indeed called an elder. Small streams flow noisily, great waters flow silently. The hollow resounds while the fool is still. A fool is like a half-filled pot. The wise person is like a lake full of water. The fool who knows he is a fool is at least a little wise. The fool who thinks that he is wise is called a fool indeed. Whichever meeting is void of good people is not called a council. Whoever does not speak truth is not among the righteous, but having abandoned lust, hate, and delusion, and speaking the truth, one is indeed a superior person. A person who is wise and grateful, faithful and reliable, who associates with virtuous friends, and is dedicated to helping those in difficulty, such a one is called a superior person. Monks, there are these 4 occasions. What for? 1. The occasion when an action is both unpleasant and after it is accomplished it is unprofitable. 2. The occasion when an action is unpleasant but after it is accomplished it is beneficial. 3. The occasion when an action is pleasant, but after it is accomplished, it is unprofitable. 4. The occasion when an action is both pleasant and after it is accomplished, it is beneficial. Of these occasions, in a case when an action is both unpleasant and unprofitable, one deems action inadvisable for 2 reasons. For it is both unpleasant and unprofitable. In a case when an action is unpleasant but beneficial, one may know who is a fool and who is wise in the matter of personal strength, effort, and perseverance. For the fool has no such consideration as this. Though this is an occasion when action is unpleasant, yet when it is accomplished, it is beneficial. Accordingly, he does not act, and his inaction brings him loss. The wise man considers, though this is an occasion when action is unpleasant, yet when it is accomplished, it is beneficial. Accordingly, he acts, and the result is to his profit. In a case when an action is pleasant but unprofitable, one may know who is a fool and who is wise in the matter of personal strength, effort, and perseverance. For the fool does not consider thus. Though this act is pleasant, yet it brings loss. Accordingly, he acts, and the result is a loss. Whereas the wise man reflects, though this act is pleasant, yet its results bring loss. He therefore acts not, and the result is to his profit. In a case when an action is both pleasant and beneficial, one deems action advisable for 2 reasons. For it is both pleasant and beneficial. The steadfast one, by attaining the desired good, is called a person of wisdom. Whoever grows in faith, virtuous conduct, learning, generosity, and wisdom, such a person is righteous, possesses discriminative knowledge, and obtains the true benefits of this world for himself. Monks, by relying on an honest person, 4 blessings are to be expected. What for? 1 grows in noble virtue, 1 grows in noble concentration, 1 grows in noble wisdom, and 1 grows in noble liberation. Here, Bhikkhu, he in this world who is wise, of great wisdom, thinks not to harm himself. He thinks not to harm others, thinks not to harm both alike. Rather, he thinks of those things beneficial to himself, thinks of those things beneficial to others, thinks of those things beneficial to both alike. Indeed, he thinks of those things beneficial to the whole world. In this manner is one called a wise person of great wisdom. When, O monks, a superior man is born into a family, he exists for the good, welfare, and happiness of the many people. It is for the good, welfare, and happiness of his parents, of his wife and children, of his dependents, co-workers, and servants, of his friends and colleagues, of his ancestors, of the king, of the devas, of the ascetics and Brahmins. This is similar to how a great rain cloud brings all the crops to grow and exists for the good, welfare, and happiness of the many people. In the case that someone associates with such a wise and virtuous person, or else this person initiates the sharing of knowledge and goodness with others, he or she is referred to as a virtuous friend, Kalyanamitta. A virtuous friend engenders right understanding and wholesome faith in others. By teaching, advising, and imparting knowledge, he or she acts with kindness and compassion, helping to cultivate right view and correct practice in others. Besides the distinctive attributes of a wise person, outlined in the quotations above, It is possible to describe a virtuous friend, someone who should be sought out and associated with, by considering the qualities mentioned in the definition of virtuous friendship. Virtuous friendship is defined as consorting, associating, and affiliating with, and a devotion and dedication to, someone who has faith, sada, morality, sila, great learning, sutta, generosity, kaga, and wisdom, panya. In some passages, only 4 of these qualities are mentioned, excluding learning, which is considered to be less important than the other 4 factors. Other passages suggest that when one lives in a specific locality, one should associate closely, converse, and consult with those people who are endowed with faith, virtue, generosity, and wisdom. One should take these people as role models and emulate their spiritual qualities. A virtuous friend should also possess the 7 basic virtues referred to as the qualities of a virtuous friend, Kalyanamitta Dhamma. 1. Piyo, endearing, the ability to access another's heart, create a sense of intimacy and confidentiality, and make it easy for students to ask questions. 2. Garu, venerable, acting appropriately in regard to one's status as a teacher, creating a feeling of ease, reliability, and safety. 3. Bhatva-niyo, inspiring, being highly intelligent, having true knowledge, and constantly training and improving oneself, praiseworthy and exemplary, being spoken about and thought of by one's disciples and with inspiration, confidence, and delight. 4. Vata, effective at speaking, being a skillful speaker and good counselor, able to explain things so that others understand, and aware of what and how to speak in specific circumstances, giving skillful advice and admonishment. 5. Vachana Kamo, a patient listener, ready to listen to the questions and suggestions of others, even those that are trifling, able to endure insults and criticisms without getting fed up or losing one's temper. 6. Gambi Rancha Katang Kata, able to expound on profound subjects, able to teach and explain complex and profound matters so that others understand. 7. No Katane Niyojaye, not spurring on to a useless end, not encouraging one to follow harmful or inappropriate ways. Although the following passages by the Buddha do not explicitly claim to describe the attributes of a virtuous friend, the virtues mentioned can be considered as companion qualities of a virtuous friend. Monks. A monk endowed with 6 qualities is capable of acting for the benefit and welfare of himself and others. What 6? Here, a monk. 1. Is quick to comprehend all wholesome states. 2. Recollects the Dhamma teachings that he has heard. 3. Contemplates the essential meaning of those recollected teachings. 4. By clearly understanding the meaning, atta, and fundamental principles, Dhamma, he practices correctly. 5. Has pleasing and lovely speech, consisting of sophisticated, articulate, and lucid language, and enabling the listener to clearly understand the gist of the subject. 6. Is able to instruct, arouse, encourage, and gladden his companions in the holy life. There are, O monks, three types of persons found in the world. What three? There is one who should not be associated with, consorted with, or approached. One who should be associated with, consorted with, and approached. One who should be honoured and revered, associated with, consorted with, and approached. Of what nature is the person who should not be associated with, consorted with, or approached? In this case, a certain person is inferior in the way of morality, concentration, and wisdom. Such a person should not be associated with, consorted with, or approached, except out of consideration and compassion. Of what nature is the person who should be associated with, consorted with, and approached? In this case, a certain person is like oneself in respect to morality, concentration, and wisdom. Such a person should be associated with, consorted with, and approached. Why is that? With this idea, as we are equal in morality, concentration, and wisdom, our discussions will be on morality, concentration, and wisdom. Our discussions will proceed in unison and will lead to our happiness. For this reason, one should associate with, consort with, and approach such a person. Of what nature is the person who should be honoured, revered, associated with, consorted with, and approached? In this case, a certain person is superior in the way of morality, concentration, and wisdom. Such a person should be honoured and revered, associated with, consorted with, and approached. Why is that? With this idea, in this way I shall complete the body of virtuous conduct, the body of concentration, the body of wisdom that is as yet incomplete, or by way of wisdom. In this respect, I shall sustain the body of virtuous conduct, the body of concentration, the body of wisdom that is complete. For this reason, one should honour and revere, associate with, consort with, and approach such a person. Although the Buddha repeatedly warned against associating with bad, immoral people, note that in the passage above he presents an exception. When one associates with such a person out of kindness and compassion, and with a desire to help. In any case, those who wish to help such a person should first consider their own readiness beforehand. Some of the teachings on the attributes of a virtuous friend emphasize everyday, immediate benefits, sometimes also connected to higher spiritual benefits. For example, the teaching on true and false friendship in the Singalika Sutta. See here, householder's son. There are these four types who can be seen as foes, as false friends. The swindler is one, the great talker is one, the flatterer is one, and the troublemaker is one. 1. The man who is a swindler can be seen to be a false friend for four reasons. He takes everything for himself, he wants a lot for very little, he helps his friends only when he is in danger, and he seeks his own ends. 2. The great talker can be seen to be a false friend for four reasons. He talks of things that have passed away. He talks of things that have not yet come to be. He offers assistance with useless things, and when his friends are in need, he makes up excuses owing to some obstacle. 3. The flatterer can be seen to be a false friend for four reasons. He assents to bad actions. He equally assents to good actions. He praises you to your face, and he disparages you behind your back. 4. The troublemaker can be seen to be a false friend for four reasons. He is a companion when you indulge in alcohol, when you roam the streets at unfitting times, when you frequent places of revelry and entertainment, and when you indulge in gambling. See here, householder's son. There are these four types who can be seen to be true friends, good-hearted friends. A supportive friend is one. The friend in happy and unhappy times is one. The friend who points out what is good is one. And the friend who is considerate is one. 1. The supportive friend can be seen to be a true friend in four ways. He looks after you when you are heedless. He looks after your possessions when you are heedless. He is a refuge when you are in danger. And when some business is to be done, he lets you have more than you ask for. 2. The friend in happy and unhappy times can be seen to be a true friend in four ways. He tells you his secrets. He guards your secrets. He does not let you down in times of misfortune. He would even sacrifice his own life for you. 3. The friend who points out what is good can be seen to be a true friend in four ways. He keeps you from wrongdoing. He supports you in doing good. He informs you of things you did not previously know, and he points out the path to heaven. 4. The considerate friend can be seen to be a true friend in four ways. He does not rejoice at your misfortune. He rejoices at your good fortune. He stops others who speak against you, and he commends others who speak in praise of you. A similar passage is found in the Anguttara monks. A friend who possesses 7 factors should be followed. What 7? He gives what is difficult to give. He does what is difficult to do. He patiently endures what is difficult to endure. He reveals his own secrets. He keeps his friends' secrets. He does not abandon one in misfortune. He does not despise his friends when they are destitute. The general principles of friendship are outlined in the teaching on these 6 directions. See here, householder's son. There are 5 ways in which a man should minister to his friends and companions, as the northern left-hand direction. 1. By gifts and generosity, dana. By kindly, loving words, piya vacha. 3. By assistance and support, attachariya. 4. By offering constant friendship. By being a friend in good times and bad, samanta tata. 5. By speaking honestly and sincerely, outwe samvadanata. Note that the first 4 of these factors comprise the teaching referred to as the 4 bases of social solidarity, Sangaha Vatu. This teaching presents the principle of mutual assistance and of uniting people in harmony. These factors are a way of expressing goodwill between people. These 2 teachings on these 6 directions and on the basis of solidarity are virtually identical, and they show how Buddhism encourages people to befriend one another or to respond to others as friends. Of these 4 factors, the offering of constant friendship, the ability to adapt to others, to not be conceited, and to be a friend in good times and bad, is essential and goes to the heart of friendship. As described earlier, the Buddha distinguishes the friend in happy and unhappy times as one of the 4 true friends. The bhikkhus, or renunciants in general, should act as virtuous friends for the lay people. The responsibilities for a bhikkhu in relation to a householder according to honouring the zenith in the teaching on the six directions, for identical to the attributes of a true friend. The attribute of a true friend, one who points out what is good, can be rephrased in this context as bhikkhus are true friends, as they point out what is good. The duties of the monastic sangha towards the laity, however, contain an additional two factors, amounting to 6 factors in total. 1. To discourage them from doing evil. 2. To encourage them to do good. 3. To assist them with benevolence. 4. To inform them of things they have not previously known or heard. 5. To explain and clarify those things they have heard. 6. To point out the way to heaven. To teach a way of life leading to happiness. The responsibilities of the monastic sangha in relation to the laity are set down as follows. Monks, Brahmins and householders are very helpful to you, as they support you with the requisites of robes, almshood, lodgings, and medicine for the sick. And you too should be very helpful to Brahmins and householders by teaching them the Dhamma, beautiful in the beginning, beautiful in the middle, and beautiful in the end. By expounding the holy life, both in spirit and in letter, utterly complete and pure. In this way, monks in mutual dependence, the lay people and those gone forth, live the holy life for the purpose of escaping the flood, for making a complete end to suffering. In mutual dependence, householders and the homeless both practice to achieve the true Dhamma, the unsurpassed security from bondage. The following passage affirms the Buddha's emphasis on assisting the laity by using righteous means. Yes, Headman, the Tathagata in many ways praises support for families, the protection of families, compassion for families. Having said this, while performing the duty of a virtuous friend in a compassionate and honest manner for the laity, the monastic sangha must be careful to preserve the unique attributes of an independent lifestyle and the life of a renunciant. It is important to avoid fraternizing too much with the lay people, which can cause harm for both parties. It can hinder individual spiritual progress and deprive the lay people of a refuge. If the monks are overly engaged in the world, the laity will only have people who are as muddled and harried as they are to rely on. They will not have an anchor to help release them from confusion and turmoil. This inappropriate relationship, in which the monks become as caught up in worldly affairs as the laity, and in which they are unable to help lead the lay people to inner freedom, is referred to as getting ensnared by other human beings. And what monks is getting ensnared by human beings? Here a monk lives overly associating with lay people. He rejoices with them and grieves with them. He is happy when they are happy and sad when they are sad, and he involves himself in their affairs and duties. He acts as a busybody. This is called getting caught by human beings. When engaged in the direct instruction of others, virtuous friends should follow the teachings emphasizing purity, kindness, and sincerity. First, there is the group of 5 factors known as the qualities of a teacher, Dhamma de Saka Dhamma. 1. To teach gradually and sequentially, Anupubhikata. To teach a subject matter in stages, beginning with easy aspects and ending with more profound aspects. To teach in a progressive integrated and reasoned away. To explain causality, pariyaya dasavi, to clarify each aspect and point of a specific subject matter, to be versatile in one's teaching, pointing out causal relationships. 3. To teach with kindness and well-wishing, anudayata, to teach with a heart of loving kindness, aiming for the welfare of one's students. 4. To refrain from seeking material rewards, anami santara, to teach others without aiming for material gain, financial rewards, or personal advantages. 5. To not hurt oneself or others, anupahacha, to make the mind impartial, to teach according to the just and formal principles of a specific subject matter, to focus on the theoretical and practical meaning of a matter, to not exalt oneself while showing contempt for others. The following passage describes both pure and impure teachings. Monks. A monk teaches the Dhamma to others with the thought, "Oh, may they listen to the Dhamma from me. Having listened, may they gain faith in me. Having gained faith, may they show their devotion to me." Such a monk's teaching of the Dhamma is impure. Monks. A monk teaches the Dhamma to others with the thought, "The Dhamma that is well expounded by the Blessed One is to be realized directly by oneself, timeless, inviting one to come and see, to be brought within and realized, to be experienced individually by the wise. Oh, may they listen to the Dhamma from me. Having listened, may they clearly understand the Dhamma. Having clearly understood, may they practice accordingly. Thus he teaches the Dhamma to others because of the intrinsic excellence of the Dhamma. He teaches the Dhamma to others out of compassion and sympathy, out of tender concern. Such a bhikkhu's teaching of the Dhamma is pure. In a similar way, the teaching on the 6 directions in reference to the duties of teachers towards their students contains similar attributes. Here the emphasis is not so much on purity, but rather on kindness and sincere commitment. 1. To counsel and train students in virtue. 2. To provide students with a clear understanding of relevant subjects. 3. To provide students with a complete education in various branches of the arts and sciences. 4. To recommend and praise the students' virtues and abilities to friends and colleagues. 5. To provide students with security in all directions, to instruct them on how to truly apply their knowledge and make a living. Finally, there are 2 qualities of a virtuous friend, which should be given special emphasis and which distinguish the excellence of such a person. First, one is truly able to do that which one teaches, or one has arrived at a specific realization about which one is able to teach others. Second, one is free. One is not stuck in confusion or tied up with the same attachments as those people one guides. In reference to the first quality, there are many teachings by the Buddha. For example, let one first establish oneself in what is proper and good, then instruct others. A learned person should be taintless. You should act as you teach. Generally, these teachings on distinction focus on conduct and ethics, but if a person has attained a specific realization by way of the mind or by wisdom, and then acts as a virtuous friend, this is the best. If it is not possible to find such a person, then one should seek someone who has progressed further on the spiritual path, or is at least equal in this respect. Occasionally, a very learned person who possesses knowledge through reading texts or other forms of study can facilitate Dhamma realization in someone else, despite he himself having not yet attained such a realization. Similarly, it can happen that two people at equal stages of spiritual maturity discuss and review the Dhamma together, and as a consequence, they simultaneously arrive at a realization of truth. One of the great benefits of having a virtuous friend is that he or she acts as a role model. As a result, one is confident that those things one practices and aspires to are truly feasible and achievable, and by accomplishing these things one receives true and worthy results. Moreover, a virtuous friend has greater knowledge, understanding, and experience, and is thus able to recommend methods which facilitate or speed up one's practice. A virtuous friend who has achieved the fruits of spiritual practice can provide these benefits or blessings fully, generating profound faith and motivation in others. It is therefore natural to wish for a virtuous friend with a complete set of these attributes. The second quality of freedom contains two aspects: a person's lifestyle and a person's inner spiritual freedom. This quality of freedom is vital and is connected to the descriptions above on monks who fraternize with the lay people. If someone is shackled by the same bonds and fetters as others, or is caught in the same whirlpools and turbulent waters, he will not be able to help himself, let alone help release or liberate others. Someone who is subject to social constrictions and struggles to obtain things in a worldly way and with worldly values is under pressure to make a living and support his family. He needs to fight for his own survival and that of his family in the same way as other people. Whenever there is trouble in society, it will be difficult for him to find time to devote himself to save others or to lead them in a new direction. His attempts to help tend to fall in the category of paddling around in a small pond. When this person lacks freedom both in lifestyle and inwardly, it is even more difficult to achieve success in helping others. It is for this reason that the Buddha established the monastic Sangha as an independent community, which has a way of life free from the constraints of the wider society and is guided by the disciplinary code of the Vinaya. When this independent way of life is combined with individuals whose minds are liberated, the Sangha becomes a powerful force in generating virtuous qualities in the wider society and acts as a refuge for the public, enabling other people to also discover various levels of freedom. On the subject of assisting others, the Buddha gave the following teaching: Kunda, that one who is himself sinking in deep mud should pull out another who is sinking in deep mud is impossible. That one who is not himself sinking in mud should pull out another who is sinking in mud is possible. That one who is himself untrained, undisciplined, with defilements unextinguished, should train another, discipline him, and help extinguish his defilements is impossible. That one who is himself trained, disciplined, with defilements extinguished, should train another, discipline him, and help extinguish his defilements is possible. The Buddha aimed to ensure for the stable and long-lasting independence of the monastic Sangha. In this context, the following teaching can be determined as a code of ethics for renunciants. A renunciant should not be overly busy, acting indiscriminately. He should not be the man of someone else. Not in dependence on another should he live, nor go about treating the Dhamma as a commodity. This matter can be summed up by looking at the peerless attributes of the Buddha himself, who was the supreme virtuous friend. The Buddha was endowed with both qualities. He was truly accomplished and had realized those things he taught, and he was free, liberated from both social constraints and from the oppression of mental defilement. Monks. Just as a blue, red, or white lotus is born in the water and grows up in the water, but having risen up above the water, it stands unsullied by the water. So too the Tathagata was born in the world and grew up in the world, but having risen above the world, he dwells untarnished by the world. See here Bahuna, the Tathagata is free, detached, and released from 10 things, and thus dwells with a boundless mind. What 10? Here the Tathagata is free, detached, and released from physical form, feeling, perception, volitional formations, consciousness, from birth, old age, death, from all suffering, and from all mental impurity, and thus dwells with a boundless mind. In the same way, a blue, red, or white lotus is born in the water and grows up in the water, but having risen up above the water, it stands unsullied by the water. The Blessed One is awakened himself and thus teaches the Dhamma for the sake of awakening. The Blessed One has trained himself and thus teaches the Dhamma for the sake of training. The Blessed One is at peace himself and thus teaches the Dhamma for the sake of peace. The Blessed One has crossed over himself and thus teaches the Dhamma for crossing over. The Blessed One is completely quenched himself and thus teaches the Dhamma for extinguishment. The following 3 characteristics of the Buddha's teaching style, which are referred to as the Buddha's mode of teaching, can be used as general principles of self-assessment for those people who act as virtuous friends and instruct others. 1. The Buddha teaches the Dhamma through direct knowledge. He teaches those things worthy of realization that he himself has realized in order that others too may realize these things. This principle focuses on the teacher, on the fact that he or she truly understands or has realized the subject being taught. 2. The Buddha teaches the Dhamma with a sound basis. He teaches and explains in a coherent way, so that the persons listening are able to contemplate the subject and understand it by applying their own wisdom. This principle focuses on the pupils or the listeners. The teacher instructs in a way that provides the listeners with the freedom or the opportunity to reflect, apply discernment, develop wisdom, and penetrate the truth by themselves. The teacher merely presents facts, information, reasoned arguments, or suggestions in order to bring aspects of truth to light and to stimulate contemplation in the listener. 3. The Buddha teaches the Dhamma with real, wondrous results. He teaches those things which are true, which are acknowledged by those wise persons and lovers of truth who contemplate them. He teaches those things that are realizable. Practitioners will attain those fruits corresponding and appropriate to their application in practice. This principle focuses on the teaching, which is in accord with truth, or truly so. It is verifiable, effective, and worthy. It is not trivial, futile, or followed in vain. It produces real results for those who practice it. The results of practice match the effort made by the practitioner by accompanying conditional factors. If one is unable to find a virtuous friend who's realized and truly free, can still be used to follow and learn from someone who possesses great learning, despite the fact that he or she has not yet reached the gist of the teaching. In this case, such a person is like a cowherd who looks after the cows belonging to someone else, or like a blind person who carries a lantern. A person with good vision is thus able to see. A person with good vision here refers to someone endowed with wise reflection, yoniso manasikara. This is not only the case with someone who has vast knowledge and is a highly skilled teacher. Even the speech of a simpleton or someone who parrots the wise words of others can provide food for thought. A person with a wise reflection may hear these words and consequently attain realization. In these circumstances, however, the vital factor rests with the listener. That is, he or she possesses the internal spiritual factor of wise reflection, which will be discussed in a following chapter.